Good evening from San Ignacio Town. With the 9 o'clock news, I am Patrick Jones. In the headlines, Leader of the Opposition, John Briceño, files motion challenging the constitutionality of Statutory Instrument Number 42. Overnight shooting incident in Spanish Lookout leaves 1 dead and 3 men injured. And a public officer has been chosen to undergo land policy studies in Taiwan. Stay tuned for details of these and other stories coming up after these messages.
My dad never misses a football match.
Me neither.
Are you enjoying this game or what?
I'm loving every minute of it.
I can't miss this game, but I can't see it either.
Here, now you can. The game's on me.
Now, wherever there's internet, you don't have to miss a single minute of TV. And the best part of My TV is it costs as little as $10 monthly for Central TV and Internet's customers. With 25 channels at your fingertips, you'll always be tuned in. My TV is available only at Central TV and Internet. Log on and discover a new world of mobile TV.
Hey, do you happen to have a beer?
More vehicle owners are switching to the PureGuard line of motor oils, and with good reason. PureGuard comes in different grades and specifications. It carries the API certification and comes with the Westrack stamp of approval, guaranteed to make your engine run cleaner and longer, up to 10,000 miles. With PureGuard motor oil, your engine will have less wear and tear, give you maximum performance on the road, and give your vehicle better fuel mileage.
PureGuard, good quality, affordable oil.
Distributed exclusively by Westrack Limited, with branches in Spanish Lookout, Belmopan, Belize City, and Orange Walk Town. Here now is the news in details. Leader of the Opposition, John Briceño, today filed a Supreme Court challenge to Statutory Instrument Number 42 of 2016, which the People's United Party has dubbed the Sarstoon Law. The SI, which was signed into law by the Governor General, restricted the movement of Belizeans on our side of the Sarstoon River without legal permission. But earlier this week, the government of Belize relaxed the regulation to allow for some movements on the boundary waterway. The constitutional challenge filed by the PUP follows a decision taken by the national executive of the party last weekend. The claim, according to an official release from the PUP, seeks to have the Supreme Court rule that the statutory instrument is inconsistent with the claimant's fundamental rights guaranteed by Section 10 of the Belize Constitution, that the regulation is unlawful as per the Public Safety Act, and seeks to obtain an order striking down the SI as being unconstitutional and unlawful. The Attorney General and the Governor General are both named in the claim. According to the PUP release, party leader Briceño is of the view that the Governor General acted solely on the basis of the recommendation of the Prime Minister in making his determination that there was a risk of civil commotion which could threaten public safety. The release notes that, and we quote, given that there was and could not have been any rational basis to determine that there was such risk, the acceptance of the Governor General that there was such a risk was irrational, unreasonable, and or disproportionate, end of quote. In other words, Briceño is claiming that the regulation is a restriction of his right to travel to the Sarstoon. He is quoted as saying, "I have a right to travel to the Sarstoon and a right to lawfully oppose the existence of this regulation. As leader and member of the PUP, I wish to make a political point that the regulations are unconstitutional. The existence of the regulations and the intention of the law enforcement officers of Belize to enforce the regulations are likely to affect my right to exercise my constitutional rights," end of quote. Meanwhile, the PUP release ends by saying that arrangements are being made for the party members to travel to the Sarstoon River. A Belizean public officer has been chosen to take part in land policy studies in the Republic of China, Taiwan. An official government press release today announced that Deogracia Chan will travel to Taiwan City to participate in a regular session on land taxation and valuation. The forum is scheduled to take place from May 20th to June 17th. Mrs. Chan is an officer employed with the Ministry of Natural Resources, and her assignment is related to the calculation of purchase price, lease transfer assessments, assessment on land tax, and assistance with land acquisition process. With this opportunity to attend the course in Taiwan, she hopes to develop her skill in land taxation to benefit her section. In March of this year, there was another officer, Ender Jimenez of the same ministry, who also attended the seminar on Geographical Information System and Land Management of the said training center in Taiwan. For the past few days, much of the mainstream media has been reporting on what has been purported to be a refugee amnesty program that benefits persons with illegal immigration status in Belize. Today, the government of Belize issued a statement flatly denying that any such amnesty exists. The facts, as presented by the official release, says that the 9-member Refugee Eligibility Committee, which is chaired by recently appointed Director of Refugees Maria Marin, was reactivated in June of last year after several years of dormancy. It has so far held 5 meetings to consider applications for asylum from persons fleeing persecution, that is, particularly gang violence in their native country. The GOB statement says that to date, the committee has vetted and recommended 92 applications, and those have been submitted to the Minister of Immigration for the granting of refugee status or otherwise. So how does the process work? GOB explains that the NGO Help for Progress, which represents the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in Belize, receives applications from potential asylum seekers. After an initial interview is conducted, those who meet the criteria for refugee status are then referred to the Immigration Department, where a second, more intensive interview is carried out. From the time of the application until the in-depth interview is conducted, the applicant is provided with a special permit which allows them to have legal status in Belize, but only up to the time the in-depth interview is conducted. It is only after the in-depth interview that the applicant's documents are forwarded to the Refugee Eligibility Committee for consideration, and thereafter, those recommended for refugee status are submitted to the Minister of Immigration for approval. The official release says that to date, some 40 files have been reviewed at the ministry, but the Minister of Immigration has not yet granted refugee status to any person. There is also a proposal submitted to the government of Belize by the UNHCR for consideration of a protection transfer arrangement in which Belize would act as a host country for groups of 10 families at a time coming from what is known as the Northern Triangle, those being Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. But at this time, mainly from El Salvador, transiting to the United States of America for resettlement. As it would work, these persons would arrive in Belize and remain for a period of 3 to 6 months in order to finalize documentation en route to resettlement. The government of Belize has not given its approval for the protection transfer arrangement. The Financial Intelligence Unit today stepped up its cooperation with local law enforcement authorities to fight money laundering and the financing of terrorism. A memorandum of understanding was signed this morning between FIU Director Joy Grant and the Commissioner of Police Alan Wiley. An official release explains that the MOU will strengthen the cooperation that currently exists and facilitate the analysis and investigation of suspected money laundering, associated predicate offenses, and the financing of terrorism and proliferation. Implementation of the MOU, according to the government release, will increase the potential sources of information available to both the FIU and the police to fight crime and remove the profit from criminal activities. It also provides a framework for joint operations where the strengths of each party may complement the other and add value to the process. This is the second such MOU that are being negotiated between various stakeholders within the government of Belize and the FIU. You're watching the 9 o'clock news. We will have more of the day's stories for you right after these messages.
My dad never misses a football match.
Me neither.
Are you enjoying this game or what?
I'm loving every minute of it.
I can't miss this game, but I can't see it either.
Here, now you can. The game's on me.
Now, wherever there's internet, you don't have to miss a single minute of TV. And the best part of MyTV is its cost as little as $10 monthly for Central TV and Internet's customers. With 25 channels at your fingertips, you'll always be tuned in. MyTV is available only at Central TV and Internet. Log on and discover a new world of mobile TV.
Hey, do you happen to have a beer?
More vehicle owners are switching to the PureGuard line of motor oils, and with good reason. PureGuard comes in different grades and specifications. It carries the API certification and comes with the Westrack stamp of approval, guaranteed to make your engine run cleaner and longer, up to 10,000 miles. With PureGuard motor oil, your engine will have less wear and tear, give you maximum performance on the road, and give your vehicle better fuel mileage.
PureGuard, good quality, affordable oil.
Distributed exclusively by Westrack Limited, with branches in Spanish Lookout, Belmopan, Belize City, and Orange Walk Town. Welcome back to the 9 o'clock news. A late Tuesday night bar brawl in Spanish Lookout has left one man dead and 3 others injured. The deceased has been identified as 59-year-old Anibal Estrada, a businessman of Duck Run 3 village. The injured men have been identified as 64-year-old Guillermo Guerra, 52-year-old Victor Perez, and Eddie Larios, all from the village of Duck Run 3. Initial investigations by police reveal that just before 11 o'clock last night, the 3 injured men, namely Guerra, Perez, and Larios, arrived at La Pasadita Bar and ordered beers. Shortly after, another man, also from Duck Run 3 and identified as 59-year-old Jose Anibal Molina Estrada, arrived, and police say there was an exchange of words between the men. Police say Estrada fired shots at the men, wounding them, and that Larios returned fire, fatally wounding Estrada. Guerra, Perez, and Larios were boarded a pickup truck and drove to La Loma Luz Hospital to seek medical attention for their injuries. Police say that at the scene, they recovered a 9mm pistol with 5 live rounds of ammunition and a shell casing in the chamber. A total of 17 expended shells were recovered from the scene. Police say Eddie Larios is listed in a critical but stable condition, while Guillermo Guerra and Victor Perez are in stable condition at the Western Regional Hospital. 31-year-old Andy Bustillos was formally arraigned in the San Ignacio Town Magistrates Court on 2 counts of murder. The charge is the result of a shooting incident on the evening of April 30th in which Miriam Mai and Daisy Miralda were killed. As a crowd of family and friends watched from the nearby Columbus Park, Miralda, Bustillos, who was hospitalized for 2 weeks since the shooting due to self-inflicted gunshot injuries, was led into the courtroom as he is now blind in both eyes, the result of the gunshot he inflicted on himself. No plea was taken and the Bustillos was remanded to the Belize Central Prison until his next court appearance on July 8th. At that time, authorities planned to lay an additional charge of aggravated assault against him for allegedly pointing a gun at other persons who were inside of Betty's Beauty Salon on the evening of the double homicide. Students of the Santa Familia Roman Catholic Primary School were today taken on a tour of the El Pilar archaeological site in the Cayo district. The tour was organized by archaeologist Dr. Annabelle Ford.
I have an education outreach program called Exploring Solutions Past, and the idea is to bring the youth from the villages to get them to appreciate the values that they have in their own spaces, their backyards, their school, and give them a chance to be in that environment. You saw that all of them, when asked what was the best thing, it was the plants. What was the best person who gave them facts, it was Narciso. There is a real connection that makes me very satisfied.
Dr. Annabelle Ford speaks about how she came about discovering El Pilar.
It was an accident. I was looking for sites up in these upland montaña area, and I had worked in the Petén, and I knew that water wasn't the most important thing for the Maya. They could capture water. The very important thing was the farming, just like Narciso does. And in fact, it was through people like Narciso that I learned about how farming was done and should be imagined for the space. But it was with the Institute of Archaeology, which then was called the Department of Archaeology, that they knew I was interested in this area. I started surveys by the river, near the river, but I wanted to go out, and they said, well, let's go up and see what's up there, because we hear there's something. And here we walked out there. I'd mapped nothing but houses, and now I was faced with something that was 50 hectares, which is times 2.5 as the acres, so that's, you know, a lot of acreage.
According to community activist Cynthia Ellis Topsy, the field trip is an important part of getting the community involved in sustainable development.
We are in the section of El Pilar Maya site, which is, this part is the Maya Forest Garden. And what we capture is the 20 dominant plants of the Maya, which are still in existence now, that were there thousands of years ago, hundreds of years before Christ. And It is an example of no need for us to be starving, because here we have, as our national anthem says, wealth untold. We have various types of plants, the mahogany, the chicle, the sapodilla tree, and we have the spice, the allspice. We have the ramon, the breadnut trees. We have different layers, shrubs, and a canopy. We promote archaeology under the canopy. Unlike other Maya sites, we don't uncover them, because in uncovering them they get destroyed. However, we only uncover as much as needs to, so we have an appreciation and use the imagination.
According to Wikipedia, the monuments of El Pilar are at the center of a 5,000 acres protected area known as El Pilar Archaeological Reserve for Maya flora and fauna. It was declared a cultural monument in both Belize and Guatemala in 1998. El Pilar is the largest Maya site in the Belize River area, with over 25 plazas and hundreds of other major buildings covering about 120 acres. The news on the national channel.
My dad never misses a football match.
Me neither.
Are you enjoying this game or what?
I'm loving every minute of it.
I can't miss this game, but I can't see it either.
Here, now you can. The game's on me.
Now, wherever there's internet, you don't have to miss a single minute of TV. And the best part of MyTV is its cost as little as $10 monthly for Central TV and Internet's customers. With 25 channels at your fingertips, you'll always be tuned in. MyTV is available only at Central TV and Internet. Log on and discover a new world of mobile TV.
Hey, do you happen to have a beer?
Fair and mostly dry conditions will continue to dominate our weather heading into the weekend. The general forecast for Belize and her coastal waters is for partly cloudy skies tonight. Isolated showers are expected in the south. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny. Winds are easterly to southeasterly at 5 to 15 knots. The sea state is light chop to choppy. Low temperatures at dawn will be around 80 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 74 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and 70 degrees Fahrenheit up in the hills. High temperatures on Thursday will range from 89 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast to 96 degrees Fahrenheit inland. It will be a warm 82 degrees Fahrenheit up at the higher elevations. The tides. A low tide is now occurring. This will be followed by a high tide at 8 minutes to 3 o'clock in the morning. The sun will rise at 21 minutes past 5 o'clock in the morning. It will set at 17 minutes past 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. The extended forecast, valid through to Friday afternoon, is for cloudy skies with generally isolated showers. And that is a look at the weather with information provided by forecaster Michael Gentle at the Belize Weather Bureau. To summarize the news, here are the main points again. Leader of the opposition, John Briceño, files motion challenging the constitutionality of statutory instrument number 42. Overnight shooting incident in Spanish Lookout leaves 1 dead and 3 men injured. And a public officer has been chosen to undergo land policy studies in Taiwan. With the headlines, we end this edition of the 9 o'clock news. Thank you for joining us. I am Patrick Jones. Have a good evening and a good night.